Engelstad, did you leave the room? Oh, there you are. Okay, good. Just before we get started with the next session, Chris, would you come tell me what the parameters are? We have an opportunity to do some research right now. We're looking for women who carry, unaffected or affected, an LHON mutation, right? And you can explain what we're doing here.
So I know you all heard a little bit about nuclear transfer. So we have a survey for women who are 18 years and above. You can either have already had children or looking forward to having children. We want to know your opinions on nuclear transfer. The survey's very short. It'll take you about 5 minutes to complete it. There is a consent form. There's a HIPAA form, so you'll need to print and sign both. But we intend at some point to do initial research testing on nuclear transfer in the United States. Yeah, I think you already know you're doing it in Europe. We're also starting to do it here. And eventually we hope to have the technique available at some point in the future for women who want to utilize the technique. I will be talking about it again tomorrow at 8:30. I'll have some slides. But I would like to, if possible, pass out some surveys with the consent form. You can turn them back in to me. I'm at the NAMDAC table, which is right by the front door. So please, if you can, fill them out. We've had several people already fill out some surveys, but we would need a few more to be able to publish a paper on your opinions towards nuclear transfer. So if you want to raise your hand, also if you know of women, we're also looking for women that are considering having children, and part of the survey is about whether or not you're considering having children, and we're a few low on our numbers in that group. So if you have cousins or daughters or anybody along the maternal line who could potentially be a carrier, I greatly appreciate it. You can tell me their name, I'll contact them or have them contact me, actually is a preferable method. Okay, thank you, Lisa. So if you can raise your hands.
Great, thank you. So we're going to have another panel, and Maria, I will let you take it away.
Okay, we are going to start with our second panel of friends and that are affected by LHON. And this afternoon's panel, gentlemen will still talk a little bit about their LHON journey, but there's going to be a little bit of a theme, and that theme is assistive technology and how they've used it in school, work, career, and how it's helped them. And then maybe a little hit on sports. So I'd like to introduce our first panelist is Brandon Bell, and he's from Silver Springs, Maryland. He's 25, and he's been affected for about 2 years. Brandon, could you tell us your journey?
Sure. Thank you, Maria. It started in October of 2011, and I was at my desk at work, and I noticed a little blurriness, but I didn't think too much of it. I thought it was maybe just reading glasses I needed. So I went in and I found out my left eye was starting to lose eyesight, but my right eye was strong enough to carry me, so the doctor didn't think much of it. So now I'm in December and I graduate college. Thankfully, I finished before I really lost full eyesight. I graduated with a bachelor's in finance, and moving on to February in 2012, Super Bowl Sunday, I'm watching the Giants beat the Patriots, and I look over to my friend and I say, what's the score? And he says, wait, you can't see that? I'm like, not at all. So he says, we need to go see an eye doctor as soon as possible. I go in and I explain to my optometrist, I'm losing both eyes now. I don't know what's going on. So I get an appointment with a neuro-ophthalmologist maybe 2 weeks later. And within those 2 weeks, I couldn't drive anymore. So he suspected right away what it may be. And I had the blood work done. Results came back within a month, I believe it was. And I was diagnosed in March of 2012. And since then, it's just been adapting every day to it. And at first, of course, everyone who's affected knows the struggles at the beginning. It's kind of rough, but every day you adapt, you learn, you find things that helped you along the way. And working-wise, I was actually interning while I was in school. I worked for the government, Department of Interior, the National Park Service. So I was working as an intern while I was in college, which was great. And I've been very fortunate with that. And I've had a few promotions along the way. And now I am working on a new assignment, actually. So I'm doing 2 jobs. I'm a budget and financial analyst at the same time. And things have been going great so far as work. How I commute to work, me and George share similarities with that. We take the Metro, which is it's a subway station that connects us within Northern Virginia, Maryland, D.C., and it's great for as far as what we do. We both are, he'll explain more about his work, but we both work for the government, and it's very accessible to us down there. As far as assistive technology, I have, which I know a lot of us do, we all have CCTVs, Zoom text. So I have my little quaint little office, I have my lights dim, and I have everything I need to get my job done. And you said sports a little bit.
Sure.
I haven't found. I used to be very passionate about basketball. I played basketball my whole life. When I realized I couldn't play anymore, it hurt. It was real devastating. I haven't found the sport yet that I can still play and be competitive with it, because I hate losing. I told my brother, who's back there, I told him before that to this day, I still think I can beat you, and he doesn't want to find that out. But maybe like a month ago, I went mini golfing with my lady, and I lost. So at that time, I found out golf is not what I'm going to play. But I'm still looking to find something as far as a sport that I can play, something to keep me busy. I love sports. I still watch sports, faithfully, and that's something I'm still looking for. If anybody has suggestions, shoot them my way. That's all as far as me and what's going on currently in my journey, and I'm willing to pass it on to the next person.
Okay. All right, thank you, Brandon. We appreciate you sharing that with us. Our next speaker is Andy Mack, and he comes from Orlando, Florida. He's 25, and I thought I was the new kid on the block, and then Andy said, no, I bet I'm newer than you. And I said, no, I'm way newer. And then he said, no, I'm newer. Well, he was just diagnosed in January of this year, and he is here to tell us his LHON story with and how it has come around to his job at, well, I'll let him tell, but he was at his job before and now after he was affected, and I think that's very interesting.
Thank you, Maria. First off, since we're talking about competition, I want to go ahead and say I win. As far as being the rookie in the room, and I appreciate that, and all the support here has been overwhelming, and I appreciate all of that, but Maria got right back at me as soon as I told her that I was the youngest, and she was a little upset about that. So Friday of last week, she asked if I could speak today. So thanks for all the heads up.
You're young, you can do it.
Exactly. At least she put me in the afternoon panel. So I've been working on this morning, so you'll have to forgive me. But I'll give you a little background on me and who I was and who I am. Pretty much the same person, as happy as I've always been. But I moved to Orlando after I graduated from UNC. Big Tar Heel fan. I played a lot of tennis. I CrossFitted. That's a verb, apparently. I played basketball. I record Jeopardy every day. I watch it most of the time. I'm big into stand-up. I like theater. I dance. So I like to be a little weird from time to time and surprise people. And I moved to Orlando after I graduated and started working for the Mouse. So I work for Disney there, which is loads of fun. And I do market research there in Orlando, which basically means until John spoke earlier, I thought I'd finally go a day without hearing the word statistically significant, but no luck. So a little more about me. I was playing lots of tennis and lots of basketball around the time that all of this happened. I guess the most recent fall we had, the fall that was apparently very cold everywhere but Orlando. So I was playing a lot of tennis and a lot of basketball, and I used to blame every time I missed, every time I lost tennis or every time I missed a shot on my not great eyes is what I would call them before. However, I started noticing I was losing a lot more than I was before, which was not okay with me, as it wouldn't be with Brandon. And so I thought I'd go to the eye doctor, and that's exactly what I did. I scheduled a normal optometrist appointment there in Orlando, went to see the eye doctor, and was ready to just show off all I could see, and that's exactly what I went in for. So I sat down, and although a little nervous, she said, cover your left eye and read the eye chart. So I was kind of cracking my knuckles and said, let's give this a whirl. So I covered my left eye and read from top to bottom and was really impressed and said, yeah, this is great, I'm good to go. Then she said, cover your right eye. And so I did exactly that, and she said, now read the chart from top to bottom. And I thought, well, I will as soon as you put it back on the wall. And so that's when I kind of learned that I was already blind in my left eye, basically, and I was kind of worried. She originally diagnosed it as some type of brain suppression, and visual therapy would cure me. And so from that day forward, for a few weeks, probably every couple minutes, I'd cover my right eye just to make sure my left eye was still doing that weird thing it had done, and that it wasn't somehow related to the horrible migraines I've always had. It wasn't, though. So after seeing several other ophthalmologists, a retinal specialist, finding out I had a very ironic retinal hemorrhage around the same time that kind of led the diagnosis one way, we finally got to a neuro-ophthalmologist who said that it may be related to LHON. And I'm sorry. So I got my diagnosis, a very temporary diagnosis at that point, and moved from there. It was new to me. My family never heard of it. Come from a very big family and huge support. I'm very close to my family, although I moved away, and that's strange for people in the South. So it took some getting used to. However, I've been surrounded by support, and I'm a very, definitely a problem solver by nature. That's what I do at work. I'm constantly thinking about how can I get more people to Disney World. However, now I spent a lot of my time around January or so thinking, how do I brush my teeth? How do I make sure my clothes match? How do I match my socks? And then I decided none of that really matters. And have just kind of moved on from there. And I've quickly learned that, like sports, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but this has allowed everything to kind of become a team sport, the way basketball is, the way everything is. My work actually had a bowl-a-thon right after this happened to me, and everyone kind of whispered about it in the office, is Andy going to come, this and that. We're very shocked that I was there, and was very shocked that I kicked all their butts, too. Thanks to the help of my coworkers and their kids telling me what pins were still up at the end, I could basically hear if nothing went down, but beyond that, that's all I knew. But I've continued to move forward since then, continued to solve these problems I can, make everything a team sport as best I can. I talked about tennis and basketball, and those are two things, like you said, Brandon, that I'm not as easily able to do now as I was before. However, there are lots of other things I've done to continue to be active. We bought a canoe, we bought a tandem bike, we bought every kind of thing that anyone else could help me be active, which has been great. I actually joined a gym that I'm allowed to bring someone to with me every day, which is nice because I can force my friends to stay in shape too. And so I go there, and there's actually a nice circuit workout I do that there's a light on the wall, which, not surprisingly to anyone here, I can't see. However, I've set up my watch to beep every 30 seconds, and nice things that you do like that just solve your problems that no one else even knows anything about, which is really cool. I'm not shy to tell anyone that I can't see very well, and sometimes I leave it at that. Sometimes I'll elaborate. But it's all about being able to go to the grocery store and do what you need to, making it through the airport. Like Benjamin, I made it here by myself, which is extremely empowering. Meeting all of you has been extremely empowering, and I love those kinds of things. They've allowed me to kind of grow and become a part of this community as fast as I can. Like we said, I'm kind of the rookie in the room, But due to the help of this community here, I've been able to kind of get there very quickly. I'm not shy to go ahead and make my long list of things I want to do now that I'm blind. And I've been checking them off and feeling really excited about it every day, from getting my handicap pass to getting my free bus service. Everything like that I've tried to do as fast as I can because there's no reason to wait. It's all about that new chapter. And once you get there, I promise everyone here, after you were first diagnosed, or if you're dealing with little kids who aren't to that new chapter yet, once you get there, you will like it a lot more than you think you were going to. It's not that scary. It's not something you can't do, and that's the real message I want to get across. But really, it comes down to, I mean, yeah, I still get upset when flagpoles jump out in front of me sometimes, but it's okay, and I move on, usually around the flagpole. But I'll close with a somewhat cliche thing that people keep telling me about the past, and they'll always tell you, don't cry over spilled milk, which I'll be the first one to tell you I've spilled milk a few times the past few months. And I don't cry about it frequently. I just call my mom and ask her to clean it up and go on with life. So that's my advice. Thank you.
And I just want to ask Andy one more thing. Andy, what kind of assistive technology do you use at Disney World?
Of course, I knew I forgot something. I'm sorry, Maria. At Disney World, I do market research, which is a lot of numbers, a lot of statistics. I rely on a lot of what everyone else says. So Zoom Text, I have a portable CCTV that I carry to all of my meetings. I very quickly learned that my handwriting was not legible to me, so I started carrying around an iPad with a Bluetooth keyboard, which allows me to take notes and then access them later, even in the same meeting. Something I definitely recommend to everyone here. In addition to that, the only thing I do that I don't know about other people doing, I actually have a mount on my desk that allows my monitor to come to my face. Something I learned very quickly is that my vision improves drastically when I get closer to the screen. So I have a mount or an arm on my computer that allows me to bring it right in front of my face. And certainly look into all of those types of things. I'm one to know as much as I can about technology and enjoy it. I have headphones all over my desk, one attached to my computer, one attached to my iPad, one attached to my iPhone at all points in time. So put bump dots on different things, know where you have things, and if you have any other questions about technology, I'm happy to answer them.
Great. All right, thanks, Andy. Appreciate that. Very positive. What a great attitude, right? Really great. Our next speaker is George Opie. He comes from Alexandria, Virginia. He's 48, and he's been affected for about 31 years. So George is going to take it away with his story.
I'm an attorney, member of the State Bar of California and State Bar of Illinois. I also earned my bachelor's degree out in California, so I would like to amend that introduction and not think of me as from Alexandria, Virginia. I'd prefer being from the West Coast, back in the Golden State. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, with that aside, I do want to give a shout out to my friends from West Virginia, Ben and his contingent, and go Mountaineers. Anyway, yeah, life happened back in the early 80s for me. I was 17, and looking forward to a bright future. And then in 1982, I was affected pretty profoundly because way back then, this was not very well known, and the condition eventually was detected with the leading doctors at that point. The diagnosis was, this is a Leber's optic neuropathy. It's not truly hereditary. We don't really know much about it, and have a good day. You know, like somebody said, go do your best. And I certainly could not have survived without the help of God and my family. You know, there's so much that can be said about that. Foundational strength is the most essential element. there's a lot of temporal issues that we all encounter in life, but I would not have made it through my undergrad years or 2 bar exams without some divine assistance. I'm just an ordinary average person, but we all encounter the same rains and winds, and so that's why the foundational strength is the most significant component to anyone. And then I also say keep your ultimate destiny fixed on the North Star, Polaris, or like I say, my Savior. That gives me the ultimate hope. I'm optimistic. Life is great, but it's true. There are some very difficult circumstances, and I hate the fact that I cannot see. And I'll be honest, and there are so many stereotypes and stigmas that we encounter, and that's one of those issues that is so important to have the family, the allies to help deal with that sort of thing. I'm empowered. I've got, like I said, a great family, a job, and these temporal points to help me along the way. As Brandon referenced, I work as an attorney for the government, and so I'm grateful for that. But I've got so many. I try to enjoy life, find humor along the way. But honesty to me is critical too, and to gloss over things that are I unfortunately can't even see the screen if it's large screen. I have no acuity, just a little light perception. But I have a lot of hope and joy and peace because of my ultimate destiny, and that I have that firm foundational strength. So that's and I'm grateful I wasn't born in the 1800s. It came along now. I use the tablet and accessible technology, voiceover, screen readers from Freedom Scientific and other sources. But trends and technology are dynamic. They change. We all can use whatever works. I just say, whatever works for you. I want to inspire people, encourage them, because I've had rehabilitation counselors who said, no, you could not be a patent attorney. You can't see the drawings. And rather than being an advocate, the rehab counselors were my adversaries. So I just want to help encourage people. I'm not your ordinary, average, conventional person. I'm just going to say, I'm here for the underdog. We can do it, and you can. I just say, God be with you and bless you. So thanks, Maria.
George, I just want to ask one quick question. With your job, what actually do you use to help you do your job? With the computer, do you have any special assistive technology that you use? Anything that you can let us know?
Absolutely. I've been versed in a variety of technologies, and people have mentioned diversity and being inclusive. I just welcome anything. On the other hand, I like to say I'm Amish. I'm not committed to any particular trend. I don't do the Facebook. I don't want to promote. I'm grateful I've got the use of screen readers and optical character recognition systems to access printed materials. But as people know, and it's really prevalent, I think that's not, technology isn't the issue, but it's a lot. There's so many different options from whatever, as long as it's in electronic form, we can manage information effectively and work. And I should also mention, I've been so blessed with the most wonderful wife and 2 healthy children, so we're trying to civilize those 2 little renegades, if anybody has advice. But technology is helpful. It's still, you encounter, oh, that's not 508 compliant, or that's not accessible, this and that. But it's, I suppose, part of the attitude and just being adaptive to whatever you encounter. Having I appreciate both Brandon and Andy. That's the same. We compete, and just like anybody else, we're gonna. Whether it's golfing and somebody's going to wrap that golf club over your head, or it just like Happy Gilmore, I might not be able to get it straight on the hole, but it'll be an exciting, inspiring event, and we'll have fun along the way.
Great. Thank you, George. I appreciate you telling us how you've dealt with it over the last 30 years. And I know you've told me on the phone you have an amazing wife, and you give her all the credit in the world for bringing you along. So thank you so much. We are going to now open it up for questions for our afternoon panel. And if you have any questions for these fine men, young and well, younger than me, then you go ahead and ask away, and we'll have Chris running around with the microphone again, yes? And do you have any questions about assistive technology, how these guys do their jobs, or sports related, or any ideas for Brandon about what he could get back into, not miniature golf?
I have a question. Whoa, that is loud. Do you guys have a software that you use to read PDFs?
Adobe plugins for Adobe work, and there's
Like OCR plugins? What are they called? Oh, Mark, what's your answer?
Well, hold on a second, Mark. We're going to get the microphone on you. 'Cause
What Mark's saying is Zoom Text 10. I wasn't sure about 9.1. That's why I was confused. But I've always had Zoom Text 10, which actually reads my PDFs.
I mean, the app reader still does not work with PDFs, but what you do is you just highlight whatever the portion is, and then you can just press Control-C, and then it's caps locks in C, which is a really stupid shortcut. But that's what launches the background reader, and then that will read whatever information you've copied, and you could just copy an entire PDF, and it will begin to read it to you that way.
and you can OCR any of those as long as
George, what were you saying?
Oh, Adobe does have an OCR engine in the Acrobat Pro or Professional, but it's not as accurate, the OCR engine in Adobe. So a lot of people use like Omni Pro or OmniPage to scan and OCR any PDF documents.
And for any of the fully sighted who don't know that OCR means optical character reader, I'm just going to mention that.
Recognition.
See, thank you. Good. I was close.
Hi, my name is Keith McGovern. My son's 8, and he's just starting to learn how to use a CCTV. Any recommendations on size? Is it better to have a bigger monitor or a smaller monitor?
The bigger the better, because if you have say you have a legal size document you're looking at, and the paper is going to be longer than your monitor, it's going to take a while to read line by line. So with anything, your TV, your computer, the bigger the monitor, the better.
I'll add to that basically. I mean, originally when I was diagnosed, we immediately went and looked at gigantic TVs to put in my, not CCTVs, gigantic televisions to use as my monitor at work. I quickly learned that much movement of my head as I moved around the screen wasn't best. So I mean, you do want to float between that, but any CCTV that's available, I think, is not going to really toe that line too closely. So, as Brandon said, in terms of CCTVs, I think a sizable television's good.
Outside of the monitor for the CCTV, I don't know how many people affected still try to watch TV themselves, and they're up close squinting on the TV. I personally went out and bought myself a projector, and I just plug that up to whatever I'm trying to use, and I just use it on my wall. And it's a lot better than sitting in front of the TV. Just throw it out there.
Chris, you've got, where's the...
I'm sorry, I wanted to say to the new mom, new affected mom, that for the adolescent or your teenager, you want to try to give him some space too. I know it hurts you just as much, even if you have to go in another room and cry. Just don't let him see you break down. It's hard.
We've got 3 on this side too, Chris, if you...
I was just going to suggest we use this big dry erase board for math problems, as still with 8-year-old to 16-year-old. That helped Mark tremendously get through his algebra class. A big dry erase board to do the problem. I mean, because we want to just physically write the problem and
in case that didn't get picked up on the microphone, the recommendation was a big giant whiteboard for doing math problems. Go ahead.
You know, when my two sons had their problems, we went through, and we all do this. You ever give the United Way? Anybody give the United Way? They have great organizations. We went through the Cleveland Sight Center, took both boys down there. They went through all the things that they may need for them to be successful, put them through courses so they would learn. They did a great job. That stuff is available for anybody that wants to use it. I mean, we've all done that. I gave every year for 40.5 years. So that's an option for you to go look at.
Great, thank you. Were there any others? We got time for like one more and then we'll move on. Two in the back corner there, real quick.
Hi guys, thanks for sharing your experiences with me. And you know, I was talking to Rick. I guess you had spoken earlier this morning, and he was talking about using the large screen in his office. I like that mount, that movable mount that you're talking about. I think my son will use that. I have a 10-year-old son with LHON. The problem he's having is with Zoom text. Can you guys tell me what platform you're using? Because we've got the new Windows 8.1 with the computer, and it just seems it's kind of sluggish, slow, and it's been kind of full of bugs. Have you guys had any trouble with Zoom text?
I use Windows 7 and Zoom Text 10.1, I think. I know a newer version of Zoom Text available for Windows 8. I'm not sure if that's what you're working on now. Even since I've been using it in these 6 months, I've seen updates come through that have improved things. The biggest glitches I have are when I'm using a doc reader or whatnot. It'll go back a few sentences and start over. And occasionally you're going to have those issues, I think, with anything that's a reader of sorts. But again, I'm using Windows 7 and Zoom Text 10. Yes, there are. She asked if there are any great apps on phones that help with vision or low vision. I use an iPhone, and I could speak for a while on how I use it. I use a lot of built-in capabilities that I wish I had used when I had vision even, to wake me up and whatnot, to tell me the weather and tell me that Orlando's hot every day. But beyond that, I mean, I use money readers, which can read the amount of different dollar bills. I use color readers, which can help with colors, and I know some LHON victims, I guess, have trouble with colors, some do not. If that's something you're having trouble with, color readers can help. There are better versions, there are worse versions. Those are the two that I use most frequently, beyond the built-in capabilities on my iPhone.
Okay, I'm going to thank everyone, for the panelists, for a great afternoon panel.